Grace, thank you so much for joining us today at CreatorCon. How is it going?
Good. It's Friday. It's pretty nice out here in San Diego, so I cannot complain.
Let's go. And listen, Grace is with Blender, everyone, which we're going to get into. It's a massive company growing like crazy. We're going to hear all the fun stuff. Grace is the director of brand community. So, Grace, welcome and talk to us about what does that title even mean? What does that mean at Blenders?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and chat about all the things that I do because I personally really like my job and I think it's fun. So, any excuse to chat with people about it. But at Blenders Brand Community, so I help manage our influencers, our athletes, anything that's like relationship based essentially. We also have partners and brands, run clubs, teams, things like that. I also help run our ambassador program as well as our events. I help put all those on, and then I do public relations here. So a little bit of everything in
I
terms of
love it. I love it. And brand community, did your role start as that or did it evolve into that over time?
it evolved. So I've been at Blenders, it'll be 7 years in May, which is crazy. So I was hired at the ripe old age of 24, and there was about like it had to have been less than 15 people working at Blenders. So eventually, after I was originally hired to run social media, and I think after like a few weeks, a few months there, Chase kind of was like, oh, she gets it. We work really, really well together. Chase is our founder. And so he started offloading all of the creative stuff. So at one point, I was managing the entire creative team. I was managing our paid agencies, our email agencies. I was running all the campaigns. So I really was doing a little bit of everything, which I think was awesome.
Yeah.
Really start out in the career. I always tell people it might be a little uncomfortable, but getting in at a startup really just like forces you to experience all these different things and learn so much about any company that you're in and wear a bunch of different hats.
Absolutely.
So eventually we grew and we were able to hire a bunch of people who definitely had way more experience than I could bring to the table, which was awesome. And so after like doing a bunch of events and being around a bunch of people, Chase and I kind of like crafted this position. We've felt that in terms of the landscape of marketing, things are even pre-COVID, but I think especially because of COVID, people are like really craving that direct connection. And so like in-person events, I feel like are becoming way bigger, meetups, run clubs, these like really authentic connections. And so yeah, we kind of created that place for me to take over.
I love it. So you started when you were 24, super young, get like obviously showing up, doing the things, making an impression. And I think that's important because as you get in and you wear many hats, as you mentioned, like I started my career as an executive assistant to a CEO and, learning all the things and then working your way up. So I think this generation, it's like they want that instant gratification of like, I'm supposed to be the boss.
Yeah.
I just started. It's like, no, that's not how it works. So
Yeah.
it's very good to know. So I guess talk to us a little bit about like how did you or why are you working at Blenders? Like what about Blenders excites you? Why do you want to be there? And why are you continuing to stay there?
Yeah. This is actually a funny story. So got my start in social media. My first job was like social media coordinator, and I was approached by somebody, a recruiter, to apply at Blenders. And so I applied and went through the interview process. And Chase always says they didn't hire for it, but I know that they did. So they hired for it. I didn't get the position, and I still just kept borderline annoying. I was persistent, I would say.
Yeah.
I kept annoying Chase because I grew up in South Jersey, like right near the beach. It's very similar to San Diego. And growing up, I always wanted to work in Surfer Mag. Like I love WSL. And this was Blenders back then was very, very like surf focused. And it was the closest I could get to Surfer Mag because, Mag isn't a thing anymore. And yeah, I was really, really persistent. And the girl they originally hired ended up leaving. And so he finally took the chance on me and hired me. Um, and yeah, and I think I continued to stay here because um I still believe in that. Like I still love being so close to these sports, and I really, really like the position that's been crafted for me. I love meeting people. I love going out into like real life and talking to our customers. I love telling people stories. And I think that having the ability to do that. And I've also just, because I've been here for so long, I've built such a great relationship with everybody who works here and Chase. And so having the autonomy to really like do what I want to do and get creative is for sure hugely beneficial for me.
Massive. Yeah. So talk to everybody about Blenders. You guys are blowing up. You guys are everywhere. You're massive. Tell people who don't know Blenders is, like, who is Blenders? What do you guys do? What are you about?
Yeah. So we are a sunglasses company that started this month. March is our 13th anniversary. So we started 13 years ago. Chase was going to a nightclub and bought like a $5 pair of neon green beater shades, and everybody
Okay.
loved them.
Yeah.
And so he always says, like, Blenders was born on the dance floor. He realized there was a huge gap in the market between the $5 sunglasses and the $200 Ray-Ban Oakleys. And
Yeah.
so he just started selling sunglasses out of his backpack at surf lessons that he was giving. So really, really like took the grind, one sale at a time.
Yeah.
Not so. And so eventually we also introduced snow goggles. So we have, to offset the seasonality of sunglasses. So we have snow goggles. We also do blue light, prescription. And that's just like in terms of our product in general. I think in terms of the brand, Blenders is, we always say we're at the intersection of sport and lifestyle.
Okay.
So we we love the people who are like really, really good at their sport. Brandy, obviously winning silver. Like we love those people, but we also love the everyday person. Like we want to come across very everyday. And when we're partnering with people, I think it's important. Like Brandy, she's a perfect example. Like she is amazing on the court and you would not want to mess with her, but she's also an everyday person, and talking about content, like that's the content that performs the best too,
Resonate.
just being an everyday person.
For sure.
So yeah, kind of a long spiel there, but yeah.
All good. So how big is the company today? Like, how many employees do you have, locations, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so we're about 40-ish employees, I think. We have a handful of remote people. Our main HQ is in San Diego, so we're in Pacific Beach, and then we have a retail store connected to that.
Yeah.
We've expanded. I think we're at about 5 retail stores. So we have one in Pacific Beach, Encinitas, Southern California, and then we're in Houston and Austin, Texas. And then we're also in Delray Beach, Florida.
So I want to talk about that because, you guys obviously have you're a big e-commerce business. You sell direct to consumer. You have your website, but now you've also decided to lean into brick and mortar. So let's talk about that. Why that shift, and or why are you doing that? Are you gaining the results from
Yeah.
being a brick and mortar?
Yeah. Chase, when we were doing the whole thing, his whole motto was from clicks to bricks. So
Okay.
I'll use his line there. But I think our first store, I'm pretty sure, was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, I think even before that happened, we were already kind of seeing this community in person, more authentic
Yeah.
start to things. And so that was a reason. Also, sunglasses are really, really personal. And
For
I
sure.
think it's so important to have a space that people can go in and go try them on. And so when we decided the places we're going to be opening stores, we went to the data. These are the places that have the most purchasers from us, and that, they already know Blender. So it was kind of an easier gateway to get consumers to us. And so, yeah, we've found a lot of success in terms of building the communities around these places. I think it's good to have a space that people can come and do things at. And again, yeah, trying them on, like it just like helps returns. It helps people see things that they probably wouldn't necessarily want to get online. And yeah, sunglasses, it sounds silly to say, but they are so, so personal. So
For sure. No, 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 absolutely. They are personal and people want to try them on. What's the vibe? What's the look? And I think when you try them on, you might go with something that, again, you wouldn't looking through a website. Right. So I totally agree. I guess I talk to brands a lot about this when they're working with influencers and creating content around driving back to a store versus driving back to e-commerce versus in person. Do you guys tackle your marketing campaigns or your influencer content differently? Or is it just about Blenders, the brand? Or are you trying to drive people in store versus website and does it look different? How do you guys tackle that?
we kind of take that on like a creator basis and
Okay.
campaign by campaign basis.
Okay.
So there'll be like, for example, March for our 13th anniversary, I definitely am trying to get people into our stores.
Yep.
So we've partnered with San Diego State University with their basketball team, both men's and women's, for this month. And so a lot of the activations will have like buyback cards to our retail store.
Got it.
And then, when I think it's a bigger launch, that's more now, that is always like just straight to our site. It's the easiest.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of how we take it. Or like Austin, Texas, that's pretty easy to get people into. And again, it's like doing these fun events that
Exactly.
makes it, gets the community out.
People there. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, totally. So you talked about like partnering with college sports right there quickly. San Diego, I know you mentioned. Why the shift? Or because obviously this happened over time. You didn't necessarily start partnering with college brands as a company. Why are you leaning into that? Why do you think that's such an opportunity for the brand?
Yeah. So, okay, lots of things. So I think it really got started from our partnership with Deion Sanders, which I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit. But in terms of this San Diego State one, with March being our anniversary, we saw an opportunity to do something around March Madness because that got so many views. And so Chase's, our founder's alma mater, is San Diego State University. So kind of starting there was just a natural step in that direction. And again, to like hit that March Madness, creating those moments are really big, and trying to stay on those pop culture moments are huge.
Of course.
So that was kind of an easy layup that way. And then, with the, I guess, introduction of NIL, maybe that's not the correct word, but it's kind of the wild, wild west out there. And that's something that Blenders thrives in because we're not really big rule people. We don't like a lot of red tape. And so I think having that opportunity allows us to create these like fun out of the box moments around these players and these teams. And then in addition to all of those, I think because we started 13 years ago, we have our core consumer group that we've kind of grown up with. And so, they're like getting older, they're starting families, and we also want to be hitting this new generation. Eventually they'll be that age too, and they'll start buying for their family. And I think it's just important to always think long term and what's going to be next.
And the NIL opportunity is massive, right? We see that. We know it's like the NCAA is like $1 billion organization. So for brands to start to lean into those younger athletes and creators, because again, only 3% of NCAA athletes will actually become professional athletes. So as you said, the intersection of sports and lifestyle, they're regular people too.
Yes.
So it is a unique opportunity for brands. And I know you've partnered in basketball and football. We'll talk about Deion shortly. I guess, are there other key sports that you guys are looking to partner with as a brand, and what are those?
We definitely want to get some beach volleyball in general, NIL players. And we started talking to a few baseball teams as well.
Nice.
While we love football and basketball, they're kind of the bigger sports. They're not wearing sunglasses on the court and on the field. So I'm trying to prioritize where sunglasses is not only just the accessory, but it's a needed part of their sport.
100%. Yeah, it's like a requirement.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Deion Sanders. Holy smokes. You guys have done an amazing partnership with him. He's an unbelievable, obviously, former NFL player, just businessman, motivational speaker. Talk to us like about the beginning of that partnership to now. How did it start and why him?
So, really funny story. Chase's dad was actually like sending him text messages like 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, just because he was watching Deion in Florida when he was coaching there, and he was texting Chase, and he was like, Chase, if you don't get on it, somebody else is going to. And so we hunted down the address, we sent him some sunglasses, and we got a selfie video back of him being like, Chase, Blenders, love your sunglasses. Like, let's hop on a call. And so that was right before the Colorado season. We had to do some crazy stuff to get those sunglasses made to be in order to launch. And I think the reason that partnership did so well, which kind of also ties back to this NIL thing, is that Deion has been wearing sunglasses as part of his own personal brand since he became a professional athlete.
Exactly.
So he's been doing the work to make that partnership successful for the last 30, 40 years. And I think that's something that we're also trying to do with these NIL partnerships is teach these kids how to turn themselves into a brand. Because like you said, only 3% of them make it. And you don't need to make it these days to still have an influence. Yeah. And so yeah, Dion did a lot of the heavy lifting for the last 30, 40 years to make it a super successful partnership.
Yeah. And I see like, he's wearing them on TV, he's posting them on his social, you're posting him on his social. At a high level, what does the partnership look like? Like what are those deliverables high level? Like what does that entail?
So most of our contracts are very like social based. We have photo, an appearance here or there. But I think the best partnerships are the ones like Dion, where it's just the product is so integrated into his life that he doesn't need to be like, oh, I need to hit my Blenders deliverable this month. He like over delivers every month. It's so integrated into his life, and he is somebody who loves doing that, and he loves bringing people into the fold and gifting his friends and gifting teams and making real connections. And so yeah, he's partnering with people who get the marketing side of things, just makes it
Makes
easier.
it so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's great personality too. So it doesn't like, it just adds value,
Yeah.
obviously, to the partnership.
Yeah.
Separately from leveraging obviously athletes, creators, celebrities to grow the brand has a massive social. You guys have had a massive social before making these partnerships. What do you think has helped you do that and grow the social?
So I honestly think what helped us grow so much originally started as like just a need to survive. Like we have always brought in the employees that work there. We were models to start out with. Our friends were models. We would just film silly stuff around our office just because we needed to post content that day. And I think having our brand be extremely personal and create authentic connections and show everybody that like yeah, we're a sunglasses brand, but like we're just a bunch of people hanging out too and having fun at the end of the day, I think is kind of what has separated us and helped us grow so much, because our consumers really feel like they're there and they're part of the experience too.
Yeah. And I know with Blender's aesthetic, I think you guys do a phenomenal job of curating, obviously, your content. There is some things that are still highly produced. And I know we're having this conversation with a lot of brands of like, hey, highly produced content off, videographers versus off their phone, people off their phones doing it. Like, what are you finding? What are you open to? And will the brand move away over time from that high aesthetic or maintain that and double down with influencers? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we're just finding the phone stuff is just outperforming everything.
Okay.
And I think that really comes down to, at least specifically on like Instagram, TikTok, if we're talking about these social channels, if you really boil it down, like these apps were made for normal people to use. So I always
Mhm.
try to tell like our social team and anybody we're working with, treat it, even if it's a brand, like treat it like they're just a person interacting with their best friends. And I
Yeah.
think if you take that approach, then like the algorithm will naturally start favoring you.
Yeah.
I do think, we'll always have to balance that nice aesthetically pleasing photo shoot stuff. That's the stuff like I love. I'm like,
Yeah.
so pretty.
Of course.
And we run television ads, we have huge e-com, we do out of home billboards. And so we still do need that like really high quality stuff for print and XYZ in our retail stores and all of that. But at the end of the day, in terms of social performance, it's your I just whipped out my phone and I'm taking a quick video of me wearing my sunglasses, and that just always does the best.
Yeah. Nobody thinks that.
Yeah.
A lot of brands don't think that.
Yeah. It's so funny though, because like you can go to any of their pages. Well, and actually a lot of brands like don't even feel like they have the opportunity to do that because it would almost be such a crazy stark difference. But the brands that are allowed to do it, you can see and look at their numbers right there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So I guess Grace has working with creators and athletes and influencers helped grow the brand in as big as a way as you guys would have hoped? Like, are you gaining traction from these partnerships? Or is it just like, yeah, we're doing it because we want to be associated with the cool people, don't really know if it's actually translating? Like, how are you finding it?
I definitely think it's translating 100%. I mean, even like super slow burn beach volleyball. We brought in Gina Urango So long ago. Professional beach volleyball player. She's on tour and makes a lot of connections. And we just naturally started seeing beach volleyball pop up in our SEO search. And so we were like,
Interesting.
oh my gosh, this is working. And so then we slowly brought on more people. So now we have a solid beach volleyball team. We donate to teams all the time as well. We're popping up at events. And just that's like a microcosm. It's the same depending whatever like vertical or niche you're in. And I think community can be a slow burn. And I think so many brands are so used to the immediate purchase with Facebook ads and all of that, that you do need to allow some time for the numbers to show up, and they will eventually.
That you said that because it is a slow burn. I think people look at influencer, marketing and athlete marketing as sales immediately, and it's not. And it can be a slow burn. It will take time, but you will see the results over time.
A
Right.
hundred percent. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess talk to us about your experience with working with athletes and creators. Like, have you ever received just you don't have to name who, but an insanity rate or for something or ask for something? Tell us a fun story.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably so many of them. So insane rate, like this person, I don't even remember who it was, but they had like maybe 10,000 followers and asked for like $10,000 for one reel. And I
What?
just, yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there are companies who have the whole FU money in terms of marketing and can do that, but Blenders is not that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, learning the range of like appropriate pay for people has definitely been a learning curve, because like you start getting these invoices in and you're like, oh, well, that sounds ish about right. And then those are always the deals where it's like, oh, they just do like one post for a few months. And then you're like, why didn't this work out? And you're like,
For
well, we were
sure.
paying too much. Like it's a short-term thing. So that's in terms of like, yeah, that was probably the craziest one I've gotten.
$10,000 for with 10,000 followers.
Yes. Yes.
This is insanity. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
Maybe they got it from someone, not from us.
incredible. So talk to us, Grace, about like for young creators and young athletes and influencers wanting to get into the space. What are things that you're looking at when you go to their social? What are you looking for them to be a fit for Blenders? What do they need to be doing, or what's the KPI for them?
Yeah. Number one is going to sound very silly, but they have sunglasses on and they're wearing them like because we've forced partnerships where we're like, oh, that person is so cool. They're always outside, but like they didn't have sunglasses on. And I think we tell ourselves that they don't have sunglasses on because they don't have a brand that they're working with. But
Okay.
what I've found is like they don't have sunglasses on because it's just not part of their natural everyday thing that they reach for, and that's fine. And then I think the second thing that I go to is like consistency with posting. I mean, we need you to be posting at least every day. If you're understanding trends, if you're able to like be funny and silly too on social, I think that speaks volumes. Again, like while we're serious, we like to have fun. And so if you can crack a joke and do those silly TikTok dances and, do all that kind of stuff, then that for sure will rise to the top.
And do you care if people have an Instagram and like, are you looking for Instagram, TikTok, both? Where do you go to first? Or are you looking at both pages?
Because I'm a millennial, I naturally go to Instagram first, but I think that also comes down to like campaign creator. Like we're really trying to get this new group of NIL college people. And so we are starting to prioritize TikTok. But
Yep.
I think at our core, most of our followers are probably pretty heavy on Instagram. Yeah.
Are you looking at follower count or average views more? What do you care about more?
I mean, we take both of them into account, like, because here's the thing, if you don't have the followers, then you don't have or if you have the followers, but you don't have the engagement, it doesn't really matter. So we have a few sites we go to. I can't even remember what it is, but we like plug in your Instagram and it'll say like, these are the amount of fake followers or whatever that they have. And if
Yeah.
that percentage is pretty low and we see your engagement, that's definitely approval to hit to the next step. But I would say we overall look at them like hand in hand together.
Okay. Okay. And I guess, is the brand always looking to partner with creators in like a contra opportunity, like gifting opportunities? Like when people come to you and they've never worked with a brand before, isn't that a starting point? Like, is there some delusion going on in the industry where people are like, oh, I've never worked with a brand, but you're going to pay me?
I'm sure there is definitely a little bit of that, like this $10,000 girly pop. But I also think, everybody starts somewhere. Like, I had no right to be where I was doing what I was doing at that age and managing 12 people and yada, yada, yada. And so, you do have to take a chance on them. But we're somebody, and maybe this is me being from South Jersey, East Coast, like I'm just very blunt. So if somebody reaches out to me and they're being, a little crazy or a little delusional with their request, I'll just say like, hey, this is what we can offer. If it doesn't work, then that's okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what do you think creators and influencers don't think about that you're absolutely looking for in your interaction with them while working with them? What do you think is such an important thing that they're overlooking? They don't understand.
Interesting that they're overlooked. I'll get to the brand part because I do think brands also overlook stuff too.
Yes.
I think on the creator side of things, like I just very much value over communication and taking things seriously. Like if you have a question or a follow-up thing, I would rather you ask me so that we're going to be aligned instead of just assuming what the answer is. And then I get a deliverable back that I'm like, this is what I paid for whatsoever. And then, I love to be like a people pleaser, but then you got to go back and like ask for edits and they might have to refilm and then book a model again and it turns into a whole thing. And so, upfront communication, ask the questions, like professionalism is always going to be valued for sure.
Okay. Beautiful. And then from the brand side.
So I think from the brand side, I feel like they almost might miss more than the creator because I think brands need to understand like, yes, while you might build a brief and send over 100 inspo links and yada, 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 at the end of the day, there is wiggle room for the creative to take their own creative perspective on it. And you have to have that, like, I say like 75% should be what you envisioned. But if there's like a little bit of 25% where you're like, it wasn't exactly what I was picturing, you need to realize like it's an art form too at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think before you hire this person, you have to like the art that they're already putting out.
There
So
you
that
go.
you're confident. Yeah.
I think that's really important. And as you said, that 75-25 rule of thumb of just understand brands need to appreciate, let the creators run with the creative. We keep
Yeah.
talking about this.
Yeah.
But people aren't doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it seems so simple when you say it out loud, but sometimes in the day to day, it's hard to like take a step back,
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So in closing, Grace, because this has been so good, such good insight for the audience, why should people buy blenders? Like, what's the vibe? If they come to blenders, why are they buying blenders? Why are you recommending?
So my big thing is we're affordable. Like we are affordable, we are polarized, and we have something for everybody out there, which I think is super important. And for every like type of energy or vibe that you're going for, like we have your crazy, loud, vibrant ones if you want to go to the music festival. We have your subtle, more everyday ones if you're just trying to like bop around and get coffee with your girlfriends. And again, I think the affordability, our prices are $49, mainly to $79. Our Dion is $89. To get the quality that we're providing you at the price point is, I just think, like the main hook. And then you can spend your money on the expensive coffee and avocado toast.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I'm super partial. I like love our product and we have so many fun things coming out this year too.
Okay, good. Well, listen, Grace, thank you so much for joining us at CreatorCon. This was fantastic.
Thank